All right. So I don't know what that was all about. I need to figure out some audio issues because that was kind of screwed up and made life a little difficult there for a moment. This is what happens when you don't really plan things out and you just go and kind of do stuff. And yeah, a real professional stream we have here. Kind of do stuff and yeah, oh, that's awesome, Doc. Monroe Township. Interesting story about Monroe Township. I actually had cousins who lived in Monroe for quite a while. I don't remember exactly when they moved out. Probably about the time my by the time both of them were college, and then I think my aunt moved out of there. But yeah, no, I still remember making the drive to Monroe. It was about an hour away. Trollard Games, 50 people from Trollard Games. Welcome in, everybody. So I've got kind of a new audio thing going on, and I hope everyone can hear me well. Thank you so much for the raid. If you can't hear me for some strange reason, please let me know. Good to see everybody. I know we are chatting. I was there with you, so we are chatting about random things related to TLG, and now's a good time to remind everybody that TLG is a sponsor of this channel, FindMaker, Castles and Crusades, Amazing Adventures, Harvesters, which you can now get the PDFs for in a bundle from the Troller Games website. I highly recommend it. It's pretty cool, especially if you have kids or you just want to play, as cute little creatures. Two mics slightly out of phase. Oh boy. All right. Well, I'll have to figure that part out. Actually, I might be able to do something about that. Let me see if this takes care of it. I've had so many issues with audio and such that it's just a little frustrating. All right, can everyone still hear me? Please let me know if you can hear me. No, it's not an OBS update. All right, excellent. What the fun thing is? I had an issue where, and actually, this just explained the audio issue I had momentarily before. I had an Elgato Wave XLR and I hated the thing. It caused me no end of problems. I need to get it R-made, and got another mixer, and I needed software to help make the most of it. And it was kind of weird because I was playing around with it before and doing like recordings, and unfortunately, when I was doing recordings, it wasn't. Despite the fact that I could see my voice going out, when I played the recording back, if anything else was going on, it like cut out the recording of it. So yeah, it's a learning process with this thing, but as long as you can all hear me, that's great. I'm okay with that. So let's see, what are we talking about? Well, today we're going to talk about a bit about running a West Marches style campaign. And so West Marches, has a very, for those of you who are not familiar, West Marches technically has a pretty a specific definition to it as far as West Marches campaign is. And there's a reason why I use style instead of saying specifically a West Marches campaign, because I've done two different games now that take elements from it. And so I don't want to say that I've run a pure West Marches game, but just in general. So the original blog post that they had that defined a West Marches campaign was that, first of all, there was no regular time. So every session was scheduled by players on the fly. And of course, you had to have a game master who was willing to go along with that and, run when the player, I guess the players would work with the GM to decide when they were able to go. Yeah, Death Angel Shadow, that is a definite bonus. Oh, I should mention that we do have a raffle going on for a $10 digital gift certificate for Trollord Games. Exclamation point ticket to enter. Of course, I got to be a little different, so it's exclamation point ticket, but uh, very funny. Oh boy. There we go. All right, excellent. So there was no regular time. The second one, don't worry about it. I couldn't tell whether or not you were being serious there or joking, because I've had people do that. I've got somebody who likes to perpetually just do a little trolling, no pun intended, and just go with whatever. Thank you for the follows, Storycrafter and Snowquilter. Very much appreciated. So the second element to West Marches was there was no regular party. Each game had different players drawn from a pool of around 10 to 14 people. And number 3, there was no regular plot. The players decided where to go and what to do. It was a sandbox game in the sense that it's now used to describe video games like Grand Theft Auto, minus the missions. No mysterious old man sending them on quests. Listen, I feel kind of called out there. When you are the old man sending your player characters on quests, So yeah, it was, I guess it was the kind of thing where they would have a, kind of have like a job board or something, or a list of clues or things that the GM would throw out that, the players could decide what it was they want to do. So now I've been run 2 different games in the last 5 years or so. One is still going. It is not being run by me anymore. And it does borrow one of the elements to it. It does have no regular party. This is our Friday Night Crusades, which takes place in our Discord. It happens from 8 p.m. Eastern to 11 p.m. Eastern every Friday night. Or I should say most Friday nights, as long as our Castle Keeper's available. And it is very much not only is it no regular party, it's a come when you can, play for as long as you can, leave when you have to. And, don't worry if you miss something. It might have worked. We kind of played with the idea of whether or not it should be basically one shots, but it ended up being more campaign like in that there is an actual story. We just do a lot of hand waving. As far as whenever you get there, your character just suddenly there. They were in the next room checking something else out. They were rushing to catch up to the party, whatever the case may be. We don't look too hard into it. And I mean, it is a little player driven in that, there is a story, but both myself and the previous CK gave a lot of latitude so that if something wasn't working, the party was free to do what they wanted to do. It was, but that's kind of always how my games have been. It's, there'll be a story. There are things that are happening in the world. It's sandbox to the point where it's up to the players to decide how they want to interact. I don't, I've never been one, unless we're specifically running a published adventure, in which case that's the adventure. And it's, that's the social contract of running a published adventure. Everybody knows what the adventure is. And, as long as you're all having fun, you kind of go with it. Does it lead to a little bit of railroading? It can. There are ways to work around that. We've talked about that in the past, and we'll have another discussion at some point regarding published adventures and how to try to take the railroading out of it. But again, there's that bit of social contract when you're running a published adventure. This is what the story is, and we're going to play this for a while because it's a cool story and we want to see it through. So yeah, it's the game was very much, and we had in the first few years that I was running it, we had 25 different. I think it was like 25 or 26 different people playing over that course of 3 years. I think it was like 34 different characters. We had a few character deaths. It was Castles and Crusades, so there's a few character deaths, not as many as you think there would be. And then occasionally people would just decide that they wanted to play something different. It might be, there are certain people that were showing up regularly, were not showing up regularly anymore, and wanted to bring something else to the party. We had a few characters change out, but it was fine. We had a lot of fun. When I handed it over, we had another CK pick up the slack. We kind of ran with a different party, just because of the fact that the game that I was running went so long, the characters had reached a good point. He did continue it. It's still in the same setting, just with the focus on a different group of characters. And, we're still having fun with it. So again, just had seen the link in the Discord to the Discord. If you're interested, at all, if you have any, interest at all, go ahead and join our Discord, and check us out on Friday night. You're more than welcome to listen in. If you want to roll up a character while you're listening in, you can do that. We have a channel that has the rules for rolling up a character. I do have to take a peek and make sure that they're up to date, because as the campaign goes on, we kind of have a little moving thing as far as what level you'll start at. But that is available to you, and each game is a solid 3 hours. We start at about 8 Eastern. We end. Very rarely do we go longer than 11 Eastern. Only if there's a really big moment, and then it's only if most people can stay for it. We make sure not to push because we are very respectful of people's time. I really like when people are respectful of my time, so I go out of my way to make sure that I'm respectful of other people's time. Yes, Eastern. In case you're wondering, the NJ in my nickname does stand for New Jersey, so yeah, I am on the East Coast. So that brings me to the second campaign, and this is the one that I currently have going, and it oddly enough, even though I hadn't kind of intended it this way, it does fall more in line with West Marches than the other one. This was a campaign that I made the conscious decision that I wanted to have a living campaign that had more than one set party. It didn't even bother me if people wanted to play different characters for different parts of it, or have more than one character in it. Into the Borderlands, yeah, that's a good one. I don't know. I'm trying to remember if I've ever actually had a chance to run or play Into the Borderlands. It's one of those I keep talking. I've heard so much it kind of ingrained into you, going all the way back to the AD&D days. But I might be thinking of Keep on the Borderlands. Now that I think about it. But either way, converting to CNC, awesome. I do a lot of CNC conversions. B2 is, yeah, okay. Oh, it's part of it. Awesome. All right, cool. I do a lot of CNC conversions of my old AD&D modules. I've run Village of Hoblet many times, and here's where I'm going full on squirrel because I know I lost my train of thought again. So we're talking about the new campaign, Embers of Empire, which has been going, we've been going for, I guess it's about 10 months now. Is it really 10? Oh, well, about 9 months now. Yeah, I guess it's about 9 months because the first session, I believe, was last October for Virtual Greyhawk Con. And the way this follows in terms of the, in terms of West Marches, it's a living campaign. It's all set in the same area. It's all set in the same campaign world. All the adventures. They're all members of the same Adventurers Guild, and there's a story behind the Adventurers Guild as well. There is no regular time. As a matter of fact, I've been kind of surprised how many sessions I've run so far because, I've been trying to set up groups. I've had, quite a few groups go through it. I think there's 20 different active player characters at this point. There are 3 semi-set groups that have the ability to toss a person or 2 in as needed. But it's, the sessions are scheduled by myself and the players. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. I definitely have that neurospicy game brain where my brain just goes whoop. How Hamlet was burned and what other towns have burned? I did not burn down Hamlet, sir. I'm very fond of Hamlet. Oh man. But there's no regular time. We are looking at having another session of the first group that ran. That will take place on. Hey Jay, good to see you. I'm looking forward to tonight's session. I'm not sure how much of it I'm going to get to watch, but if you get the chance and you like some old school terrain and some old school D&D, Lord Gazumba's channel is the place to be. So I'm looking forward to, in a few was it 2 or 3 weeks now, playing in a Saturday morning session. That's going to be a lot of fun, playing the grandfather of a character, or my current character in that campaign. So that's going to be really enjoyable. Well, it'll be enjoyable. Whether or not he lives, that's a different story. We'll see what happens. So yeah, I mentioned that, we're doing some scheduling. I've got one group that has run quite a bit more. They've been really good about wanting to run knowing when the next session is, running the next session. So, it's good that they've been kind of after me about that. And I've enjoyed that. That is going to be a blast. Ooh, April's playing in that game. Oh, that's going to be fun. That's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. Coco, April, Mike Disney. Nice. I did mention that there was no regular party. We do have like specific groups, but the groups have been kind of malleable. I've had people from one of the groups running in the others when we've needed people to fill in. I've also run during the fundraiser session. The first group, which is easily the largest of the 3, was kind of spread out among the other games. So it's when people are able to run. If they're not able to run, I try to get them into other sessions so they don't fall too far behind their regular group. But so I mean, there's a regular party, kind of, sort of, but it's not just one party, I should say. I mean, in that sense, it does fall in line with West Marches. And the question of whether there's a regular plot, there's, again, my games have always been, again, unless I'm running a module specifically, my games have always been very sandboxy in that I'll have a story there for the players to interact with. I leave it up to them how they want to interact. I am not going to push it. For these games, because they're streamed, they tend to have more of a direction, and the players are always up for it, so I'm not too worried about it. But again, I'm going to go with however it is they want to approach it. I keep it very fast and loose as to how they want to handle whatever the task at hand is, and I try to make sure that I am going to adjust to what it is they want to do. So, though it wasn't intended to be that way, it turns out my second campaign, the campaign that I'm running now, is actually more West Marches line than the first one. So let's talk a bit about the implications of running West Marches game. I mean, the first thing to consider is the fact that you need a GM who's going to be very flexible. Either that or you're going to need more than one. Either that or you're going to need more than one GM. for the campaign if you're going to call it, have it as a campaign. Yeah, Jay, yours definitely fits that style. And my current campaign is kind of tailored after that method. Yours is yours, though yours is a lot more I think yours is a lot more self-contained than mine are as far as the adventures themselves. Though, there is things that go to the next one. I don't know. Maybe that's not as true anymore. Because mine do tend to have a very, very straight up resolution, and then there's implications in the next thing. The way yours goes, it's less cancellations. That's one of the cool things, and we'll talk about the benefits about it in a bit. But you do need to be flexible, because you're not going. It's funny, scheduling. There's the big joke about scheduling being the big bad boss of role playing games, and it's true to an extent. It is very hard in this day and age, especially as adults, where we have especially if you have kids or jobs that with weird hours, irregular hours, to have a group of people all on the same schedule who may be married or significant others who, have their own things that they want to be doing with you, to have that scheduled game each week at a certain time for a certain length. I have, even our Friday night game, I have to say, the group we had for a long time, we had a long period of time where everybody was showing up that was currently active, was showing up every Friday. So we had like 9 or 10 people that I could rely on to be there every Friday, which was amazing. It was for a game where you didn't have to be there. Suddenly everybody was there each week. It was challenging, but it was an amazing thing. But as we all know, that's not anyone who's tried to run a game lately, especially a game where, you're just putting it together for the first time, as opposed to people that you've known for years and years. It's not easy. It's definitely not easy. So, as a GM, having that flexibility and being able to go, give your players those options and, in terms of when they go, is great. Having a non-regular party, that was one of the things that I was curious as to whether it was going to trip me up. But Roger, thank you so much for the subscription. It very, very, very much appreciated. 30 months. Wow. The weirdest thing about looking at that is the realization that I've been streaming long enough for somebody to be subscribed for 30 months. Oh my goodness, where does the time go? So yeah, it's I was wondering whether it was going to be tricky, and I found it not to matter as much. And I don't know for certain whether or not it's because we're playing CNC, where I can easily tailor things to basically who's there and adjust based on whether or not they have a dedicated healer or somebody who can really bring the heals. It's an interesting thing. It hasn't impacted me as much as I thought it would. Also, the fact that there's no regular party, also means you need to be able to account for varying party sizes, whether or not, regardless of the composition, because, there can be a substantial, if you're not used to it, running a party or game for a group that is, 7 or more characters going, is a tricky thing. I think it's a lot easier in a lighter rules light game, not relatively rules light, I should say, in CNC. CNC is kind of rules light, but only in comparison to the behemoths that are Pathfinder 2E and D&D 5E. Those games, and being rules heavy is not necessarily a bad thing. Being crunchy and having a lot of things to consider, there comes the trickier part. Only essential personnel need to show up tomorrow. Means show up or your job will be terminated. All right. That's a little non sequitur. Or are we talking about characters that need to show up for a particular adventure? I'm not entirely sure where you were going with that, Lord Forth. I'll be honest with you. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where if you have that flexibility, and it is good. Honestly, I think it's great practice for a GM. Running a game where you don't necessarily know what you're going to have, and you're not reliant on having that same group every single week, or even having the same group of characters at all. Ah, okay, I got you. It's a good, it's a good test, a good way to expand your skills because I think I'm of the mindset that flexibility in a game runner is a very important thing. Flexibility means that when the players do something unexpected, you're not going to be as flustered. You're going to be able to roll with the punches, whatever it is they do. You'll be able to take it in stride. It also means that you figured out, you've gotten to know the rule system well enough, and I am definitely not of the mindset that the GM should know every single rule by heart. That's ridiculous. I've been playing role playing games for 40 plus years. I played multiple editions of various games. I've got edition bleed. I've got rule set bleed all over the place. I have to remind myself. Oh, excellent. Dungeon Mr. Tide, good to see you, sir. I will actually hold on a second. I do believe I have a shout out for you. I just have to remember what it is. That's always the fun one when I can't remember what I put in. Oh, I thought I did anyway. All right. I need to fix that because that obviously is not going to do. Yeah, no, I need one for you. Remind me to get with you in terms of figuring out what to put for your shout out, sir. Because you definitely deserve one, and I can't wait for New Avard. Trying to remember Groovy, trying to remember durations over game systems and additions of similar effects. And oh yeah, that's definitely a trick. Things. Trying to remember when even between like editions, like when I was running D&D for all these years, trying to remember whether certain things exist in certain editions. It's like, is this still a thing? Are flanking rules the same? What am I doing here? And I got to the point where it's like, yeah, no, I can't possibly that. I've the older and the more games that I run, the more I became reliant on having a game master screen up that has all the quick information, especially for combat purposes, just so I know what all the little rules, all the little modifiers are, is huge. And then we talk about the idea of the flexibility to run with a different group of people each week, or at any given week, whenever they're available, setting those sessions up. Going for an hour versus a minute is a very, very different thing. That's for sure. Oh man. Then you get to the point where it's like, all right, well, I've gotten used to having different party members at any given session, having different numbers of players or characters in the party at any given session. There comes the sandbox nature of it, and again, sandbox doesn't necessarily mean the players do whatever the hell they want. There are. I say that, of course, the next thing I'm going to say is the players can do what they want. We'll just adjust to it. But the idea is it isn't just a blank slate and, you just wait for the players to tell you what they're doing. You can go that route. I mean, hell, if you want to go that route, more power to you. That's great. That's awesome. That's a hell of a chore, especially if you're running it in a VTT. But the idea is you can go a couple ways with this. You can have, again, just like something like either a job board or possibly a list of published rumors, list of published requests, and have the players choose which one they want to take up. What is it they want to do? Who do they want to talk to? Which lead do they want to chase? That's probably truest to form. For me, it's a matter of, all right, I normally have an idea of, because they're an adventuring guild, if they come with me, let's put it this way, if my players came with me with an idea and said, this is something we'd like to do, and can you put it together an adventure, I would be more than happy to do that. Hey, listen, there's nothing better than running an adventure that your players are actually invested in. For me, though, I've gone more with creating a story and having things that they go through and making sure I do what I can to have it come alive. North Shore GM, good to see you, sir. Glad you could drop in. We do have a raffle for a $10 gift certificate going for digital product from the Trollard Games site. Exclamation point ticket to enter. That's it. PC's founded this Adventurers Guild. That's cool. That's a way to go. For my current campaign, the idea is this is kind of a historic adventuring guild that had fallen on hard times, and there's a leader who kind of resurrected the guild, and the characters that are currently playing are like the first of the new wave of adventurers in the guild. So they're helping build the guild's reputation as they go along, which really cool thing. Now, ways to make this interesting. I honestly, you talk about as far as having them just different things that they can do and letting them pick what they want to do. Either way, I think it's important, even if you were going to go that route, I do think you need to do world building in that kind of adventure. I don't know. I've never actually had a chance to actually partake in a true West Marches game. So I'm not sure how that works. I know there's normally a setting of sorts, something on a borderland, we talk about, on the borderlands, but something of that nature where there's a contested area and such. I'm assuming, I would hope that the world around them is changing as they're taking these tasks. One of the things I've been very cognizant of is making sure that the world is coming alive in ways that it's familiar to them when the next adventure happens. I've worked to introduce some recurring characters, and I need to introduce more, but they've interacted with a number of people in multiple sessions. I've got, there's two in particular that have joined them for multiple adventures, not including two people primarily placed in the guild. That's actually, I guess, so that's a third one. One of the two's been on several adventures with them, so that's a third. And I've been trying to make sure that they have the opportunity to meet NPCs again. One of the groups went through a town in their last session that they went through in their first session, and they were able, because of the relationship that they had, they were able to get information from the people there, and it brought that town back to life. It made that work worth doing. Even though I didn't know when I was going to get the chance again, they had that interaction. There was that reputation with the guild. So, when you do a West Marches style campaign, keep in mind that even though these might be really self-contained one-shots, and I think West Marches, they've really tried to make sure it's a self-contained one-shot, because you don't know when the next time the group is going to get together again, or will be, that particular group will be together again. And characters are want to be able to do other things. I hasten not to just do a one shot and forget it. Have that world building, and it's the best kind. To me, it's the best kind of world building. I mean, you can do lore dumps all you want. Nothing is going to be more memorable than when your characters are actually interacting and learning things about the world and having it affect them in game. When it has an impact on them, that is going to be so much more, for me, that's going to be so much more impactful and so much more memorable than me telling you me reading to you 20 pages of lore about the campaign world. Last group used the guild and eventually met one of the first group. Next time started up, we'll have, excellent. Yeah, no, listen, that's great. That is a great way to go about things, for sure. So yeah, it's one of those things where you keep on building, keep on building, keep that world building going. Reuse characters. Don't feel that even though this is a more of a really loose knit style of campaign, as opposed to a hardcore, this is the party, these are the players, we're playing, every Thursday or whatever the day might be. And you're going from level 1 to level whatever. If you're doing it, in a much more loose fashion where you have rotating players, have rotating characters, make sure you're doing that world building. Give the characters a chance to interact with the world. And I think you're going to have a much better time. That's awesome. I mean, that's the way to go, for sure. What else? Let's see. What else can we say about West Marches? I am really fond, and Lord Gazumba mentioned it earlier, but I do have become a really strong fan of the fact that I'm not under that pressure to run a game every week. It's when I'm ready, when my players are ready, and it's made it a lot easier on me to decide what's coming next and what I want to do, without having the pressure of having to get that game ready. I don't feel tired, despite the fact that I've run all these sessions already. I'm just getting started. I don't think anybody in the game has leveled more than once, and I believe we started off at 3rd level. I might have a character that has leveled twice, possibly. I'm not sure, in the one group, but for the most part, they're still low level. They're still getting up there. They've done some really cool stuff so far. All the groups have done some really cool stuff so far, and what's also been cool is the fact that, because of the fact that I've got different groups going and different players, and sometimes the players in a given group shift a little based on availability, the game doesn't get stale. It doesn't get stale in that, there are times when you're running a long campaign, and when you're running a campaign where there's no necessary end in sight, It's just basically you just keep playing and you just keep showing up. Um, everything starts to feel familiar, and familiar not necessarily in a good way. It's like, there can be a point where the mystery's gone a bit. I'm finding that in this kind of thing, because the dynamic keeps changing, it always feels like something new, and it's a really cool feeling. To be honest with you, yeah, that's what jobs are for. Now wait a minute. Let's be frank about it. My job is to pay for my TTRPG addiction. Oh my goodness, I am in so much trouble. I need somebody, I need somebody to tell me no, because I obviously have no capacity for doing so. I have a couple of boxes from Paizo that I've yet to open. We used to talk about like the drawers of shame. Would you like me to introduce you to a few more expensive hobbies? Okay, first of all, if any of those are named Warhammer 40K, no. I have enough minis that I have enough drawers of gray, thank you, with more coming in. But yeah, that's a fun one. I have. Oh man, the damnedest thing is, yeah, I can afford to play Warhammer 40K, but I've seen the work that involves, and yeah, no, I can't do that. I can't do that to myself. I'd really love to, I really love to play some more BattleTech, and find, possibly introduce some people around here to BattleTech in person, but I still can't afford that. But yeah, we joke about that, and it's like I've got, people talk about, the drawer of shame or whatever, box of shame. I've got boxes of shame. I've got several boxes from Paizo that I've yet to open. I really do need. I'll be canceling that subscription at some point because I'm not currently playing Pathfinder 2e, and I'm waiting for the rest of the new core books to come out. At which point I will put my subscription on hold, and I can pick them up at any given time. It's honestly, I probably should cancel it now. It's just that nagging feeling is like, well, no, you could just wait. You can wait until at least the new books that you absolutely need come in, and do that. Yeah, the bargaining I do with myself on a daily basis is considerable. Oh, goodness. Yeah, Death Angel Shadow. I'm I'm an IT guy as well. Now into information cybersecurity. So, ham radio operator. That's cool. That is awesome. I have a few friends who have ham radio licenses. Never actually. It's funny. I don't know all the people I know. Is like people I've known, people at work and such, and a couple people in person. But coming up during the month of PF2. It's I like PF2. I'm not gonna lie. If I wanted to run a super crunchy game, with published adventures. Because of the fact that Paizo, I have to give Paizo a lot of credit. Their published adventures are really good. I've got a couple of quibbles, but in generally speaking, I like their adventure paths. My problem with their adventure paths is the fact that they're adventure paths. So that you're running from X level to X level, and some of them run all the way from 1 to 20. At which point you're kind of done with that character. And there's a little, there's a little thing that goes off my brain. It's like, all right, well, we've only been playing so long, and suddenly I've got a character that's already gone to level 20. But that's the way it's designed. I mean, it's basically you have your character. That character runs through the adventure, or the adventure path, and then you roll a new character up for the next one because you're going to be out level, unless you do a 1 to 10 and then do a second adventure path for 11 to 20, you're going to out level the adventure. So you do something different. That I've actually completed a level 1 through 10 adventure path for Pathfinder 2E, and it was really, really weird in that I enjoyed the hell out of it, but it was weird to think that, okay, I'm done with this character and the character is not dead and we're still playing PF2E. No, I listen, I hear you on that, that's Angel Shadow. The combining them. Wander's Haven, good to see you. Thank you for stopping in. Glad we're doing well here. We're having some fun talking about. We've kind of moved on from the initial conversation, and just talking about. I think we're talking about PF2E and other games as far as for me it's adventure paths. And like I said, they do. Paizo does a great job with their stories for the adventure paths. I think if I had any complaint about them from the ones I've seen so far, they tend to be a little too tightly set in. There isn't a lot of downtime. So, a game master needs to kind of build in some downtime so that, the characters are doing something else in the middle of adventure. It did feel kind of rushed to do one to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing, which again led them to leveling super fast because that's the way it's built. You need to hit these points where you're getting to this particular level so you can do the next chapter and such. It's question. The one thing about adventure paths is I will say this, even though PF2E doesn't do it, it's a thing in 5e, milestone leveling. For a published adventure path, I can understand milestone leveling because, again, you're hitting certain points where for the next part of the story you need to be a certain level. So, you're leveling as you go along. It knows when you need to be there, and I can see that for that. I am a fan. I'm old school. I admit I like experience points. I like knowing how close I am to that next level. I like knowing when I can start anticipating, when I'm getting my next ability. Even though in CNC, it's nowhere to the level of, 5e or Pathfinder 2e where you're getting a number of abilities at a given level. CNC, it's just for some levels it may just be an extra bonus to hit, an extra, one particular ability. That's fine. I like knowing when those extra hit points are coming. I'll tell you that much. Your players starting to revolt when I even suggest using milestone. And yeah, I use milestone in my 5e campaign at my players' suggestion, and I regretted it immediately. Maybe not immediately. Within about 3 or 4 months, I had regretted it because then the pressure came to level them again, and because it was more of a again sandbox adventure, and they had kind of control of what it is they wanted to do. I was not, I found myself leveling them too fast. And, 5e changes remarkably when you hit like level 8 or 9 or so. And by the time I got to level 12, I was done. I was like, this doesn't even feel like the same game anymore, especially, and not for the kind of campaign that I was running, not for the story that I had in mind. It just didn't work anymore. So, quietly killed off the game. Rime of the Frost Maiden. Huh. Oh no, yeah, you cannot swap back and forth. I mean, choose one or the other. And again, for a published adventure where it's really clear, what level they need to be at for a certain part of the adventure, I can understand that. Sure. It's fine. I will never do that again for my personal campaigns because in a published adventure they did that? That's awful. Wait, was it published? Was it in the adventure itself that you were supposed to switch back and forth? Or was it whoever was running the game was doing that to you? Oh, wait, you ran the game. So, huh? I can't even imagine. I'd be, what? That's terrible. Now, the funny thing is, CNC, you really can't even do that anyway because CNC has different XP charts for different classes. So, you can't do milestone leveling anyway because the different classes are leveling at different rates, and they should be because that's the way the classes. I won't say balance, but that's the way they're set up. Kind of sort of I guess for balance, but varying power levels and such. Yeah, I didn't play third edition. There's reasons for that. It was a conscious choice, but not because I had anything against it. It was more life situation at the time. It just switching from 2E to 3E was not going to work for me. Wow, that's Ruby. That's just weird. That is so utterly bizarre. Um, but as far as the didn't rhyme say player should be X level before going to this area or that area. I mean, it should. I would imagine so. I should also mention that more. I have not been a fan of the 5E published adventures that I've seen, with the exception of Ghost of Saltmarsh. But Ghost of Saltmarsh is also, basically a redoing of the U1 through U3 AD&D series for 5e, with some more stuff added in. Oh, I know. Storm King Thunder, Tyranny of Dragons. Um, I came to loathe both of those adventure paths. Oh my goodness, there were design choices in those two adventure paths that I don't know what the hell they were thinking. I was like, did you guys actually bother to play this before you printed it? Because I'm not seeing it. I mean, my distaste for 5e at this point has more to do with the mechanics of the game than anything else, though. I'm I if Pathfinder 2e didn't exist, I would probably still possibly be willing to run 5e for people who wanted that type of game. But Pathfinder 2e fixes like so many of the issues that I have with 2e or 5e, I should say. It the action economy is better. Um, the action economy is much better. Bonus actions in 5e are just was a bad idea, and bad idea made worse by the implementation. I'm again, I know we're getting kind of really all over the place, but it's just I don't know what they were doing with that, and it just didn't work. And it still doesn't work, and it's actually causing more problems because those of you who play paladins in 5e are finding, if you haven't heard already, they're making Divine Smite a bonus action in the new version, which is kind of funny because I am not a fan of Divine Smite in 5e at all. I love paladins. I think having to basically sit on your spell slots waiting for a crit so that you can bring down Divine Smite is a terrible mechanic. It loses a lot of the utility that a paladin can bring because you're a potential massive damage dealer, and if you're using your spells for anything else, you're losing out on that massive damage potential. And that's not, I don't like that the choice is so extreme. It'd be one thing if it was really good damage potential or, use of utility. But when you can bring the kind of damage that a 5e paladin, at least now, could do, I don't see that really as a choice. It's, I don't say that you have to play your character optimally at all times, but the fact that you can't even consider doing stuff that are just flavor and just kind of good role play because you're using a spell slot that could be much more useful later when you get to the big combat. No. It's bad. I think it's bad. I've got other issues with the 5e paladin as well, but that's like at top of my list, mechanically speaking. All right. So, one thing I want to point out is I do have another adventure coming. It's probably going to be either the July 14th or July 21st. There will be no stream next week because of July 4th weekend. I will be traveling, and hope you all have a great July 4th. So the 14th or the 21st, there'll be messages in the Discord actually in the various Discords as far as when it's scheduled. Also, I'm given to understand that we're soon going to be having signups for virtual Greyhawk Con, which takes place the first weekend of October. Looking forward to that. This year, I may just be running games. I don't know if I'm actually going to play any games this virtual Greyhawk Con. Some of my players have expressed an interest in running or in playing an extra long session, like 6 to 7 hours or so. We'll see where that goes. It may be multiple sessions with various people subbing in and out. But there's a possibility of that. So keep an eye out for virtual Greyhawk Con announcements. If you like playing, in the world of Greyhawk in various different games, whether it could be anything from AD&D 1E to 5E to, somebody might run in DCC, Shadow Dark, whatever the case is. It's a fantastic 4 days of gaming, and it's all virtual. It's, be $5 to enter plus whatever the tax is. So it's cheap and so much fun. I really hope that when the announcement comes out that you all do take part. What we're going to do now is I am going to move to a stream ending, and we will do the drawing. Let's see. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming in. Thank you for the subscriptions. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for the chat and being active. If you were just here lurking, if you were able to come in, say hi, or didn't even say hi, and you were just lurking and listening in, I appreciate you too. Everybody who's here is very much their presence is very much appreciated. So for the giveaway, going to close the giveaway now. And the winner is Dat Sadness. All right, Dat Sadness, I will get with you in Discord. I think I've got you in Discord and get you that code. Congratulations. Let's get ready to raid Lord Gazumba, so please hang out until the raid goes through. And I hope everybody has a great weekend. I hope next weekend you have a great holiday. And I will see you then. Please be safe, enjoy yourself, and we will talk soon.